Welcome to the Business Guild Success Funnel Podcast. My name is Pat Hammond, and I'm one of the Guild's co-founders and your host for this episode of the podcast. Now, before we jump in, I do want to give a little background about today's guest. I was at a virtual networking event a few weeks ago where I met Shannon Hernandez from Joyful Business Revolution, and she was the featured speaker. And as soon as she started talking, I knew we had to dust off the podcast and get her in for an interview. Her message was so simple and so obvious, and it was perfect for people like us who work on our own or in small teams and don't have the time and resources to waste on inauthentic marketing efforts. Welcome to the podcast, Shannon.
Thank you. I am so honored that you're dust things off for me.
You have no idea. I've had so many people asking, when are you going to do the podcast? When are you going to do the podcast? I want to be on your podcast. And I never have time. I literally never have time. And then as soon as you had your moment on, was it Neil's event? Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I've got to do this. Make time. And then of course we had that little blip yesterday where my internet was down. We had to reschedule.
Yep. But here we are. And we're going to talk about all things joy in your marketing.
Yes.
Am I allowed to say cuss word?
I do.
Okay.
So yeah, don't go crazy, but
yeah, I know. I'm going to say one cuss word, so I want everyone to brace themselves.
Alrighty.
We say at Joyful Business Revolution, and I built an entire brand around it, and I help all you people fall in love with your marketing again. If it ain't joyful, we ain't doing that shit.
Damn right.
That's probably what got Pat all on fire.
Maybe that and the timeliness. It was just so perfect because I was at the point where I was getting ready to pivot yet again in a post-pandemic pivot, and it was just bam. So let's just jump right in here and tell us about what joyful marketing is, because it sounds really nice when you hype it, but in nuts and bolts, what does it really mean?
Yeah. So joyful marketing is a 4-step framework that we developed because I wasn't having joy at one time, right? This is what happens. And we help people understand these 1, 2, 3, 4 of how to basically, we've all heard a million times, know, like, and trust. But then I was a few years ago, I'm how many times are we going to hear that? And nobody's actually broken that down for what it means for organic marketing to actually get some damn results, right? None of us have time to be wasting time.
No.
I don't know about you, but I'm not getting on TikTok doing dancing reels or any of that other crap. And so I was all right, if I really put this in place, and it was step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, how would I teach this? And we actually used to call it joyful marketing. Somebody has the trademark. Now it's joy fueled marketing. And it's our framework process. And so it's how much joy can you add into your marketing, right? And so if you've ever heard know, like, and trust, it makes sense, but it's what does it actually look like in action, right? And so that's really how it started, is I started playing with how I market. And how my company markets, and then how we help people market. And over the years, I've been able to distill this down into this joy-fueled framework, which gives people so much grace and leeway to be themselves. They get to choose their own adventure in marketing, right? Remember those books, Pat, where you got to choose your own adventure, and you got to the end of the page. And seriously, I've done email series like that. It's super fun. And people are I want it to end this way, and they click here and it goes to one blog, or I want it to end this way and it click here and it goes to another blog. And it's just that possibilities are endless. And so we can kind of talk about that. But what I really want everyone to know is I am on fire for organic marketing and helping you get your marketing working for you, not spending all this time doing it, but what does that really look like from a messaging perspective and a marketing perspective? And that's kind of how the process came.
I think though that especially for people who are small businesses and their client base is local, I think that is a huge differentiator. being able to take it to that next level, not just say, hi, I'm Pat and I'm right here, but it's like helping them get to know me, understand who I am, how I function, the way I think, and how it's going to benefit them, because that's really, the key there.
Yeah. At the end of the day, our clients, our community, right? Even if they're not clients yet, we talk a lot about community. Our prospective clients in our community, they want to know us, like us,
yeah,
and trust us.
Yeah.
And that's when they will invest in us, right? And so as experts, expert-based businesses, right? Knowledge-based businesses, I really went on this journey to what does that look like in a strategic marketing plan? And it's been so fun to like grow that out and introduce it to people over time.
That is, yeah. And it's so timely. I mean, we have two in-person networking groups at the Business Guild. We finally brought them back post-pandemic, and the people are so excited to do things, so excited to be around people, not just behind a screen. And the question that keeps up constantly, I mean, just yesterday, it came up again, and the last meeting it came up. How do I do this? How do I market? And to me, it seems like such an obvious thing, but that's because I'm not really in a marketing business, but I write about marketing. So at least I see from the vantage point of looking down. But when you're in the trenches and you're trying to figure out what to do because one of your trucks is down and you can't roll your guys to the next job, and you're wondering what you're going to do now that all these businesses are no longer working from offices and you're an office cleaning company, that's hard. That's hard. It's hard to get out there. So how do we make this happen for people, or how do people make it happen?
Yeah. Well, I think you really have to step back and you have to ask yourself first, like, what am I good at and what do I like doing? Because in marketing, there's like, literally, we've identified 157 ways people can market themselves.
Wait a minute, 157?
157. That's like overwhelming. Who wants to even think about that, right? Yeah. So it really starts with what we call your content personality. And that's really what I'm known for around the world, is this content personality quiz. And you can take the quiz and you can get your result. And that really narrows things down, because let's say your best marketing personality, if you will, is video. Well, you get to cut out, like, there's 22 ways to market with video. So you get to cut out whatever 157 minus 22 is. I can't do the math like live in person. It's got some threes in it, I think, somewhere when you subtract that out. And it takes over 130 some things out of the equation, right? And then when you know that, like, let's say you're a video content personality, well, now you get to narrow down, okay, where are my people, who I'm trying to reach, right? And what platforms are video platforms. So it even keeps narrowing the process and refining it down, because we know people are so overwhelmed with choices and decision fatigue, and should I do this and should I do this? And it's crazy, right? It's one of the ways that we are simplifying things for people.
And that's such a huge deal. So, I mean, it's overwhelming. Marketing, I always describe marketing as being a combination of science and psychology and the magic pixie dust, because there's just so much in motion there. Wow. And almost nobody gets it right all the time. Actually, nobody gets it right all the time. And when it's not your primary focus, when you don't have a lot of money and you don't have the people or the time to do it yourself as a full-time occupation, it is overwhelming. It's very, very overwhelming. And we will have the link to the content personality test in the show notes. But I will say I did do it, and I was really surprised by the result, because it said video was my content, and everything except for video are the things I enjoy doing. I hate doing video. Absolutely hate. And I'm like, how the heck did it come here? But when I actually went back and read it over, it made perfect sense. Mm-hmm. It really did.
Gosh, I love that you're saying this, because we always get two types of people.
Yeah.
One type is like, absolutely not. This is not my content personality. Like, it's bogus. And the other one is the people that well, we get three types of people. The second is the people who are like, oh, thank God, that's what I thought. Like, I should just stick with what I know is my strength, right? And then we get the third kind of people who try and hack the quiz a million times. They put in like 42 different emails trying to get different results. And I find it so funny because they're like, well, you know, we asked them, what are you? Well, I was video, but no, I didn't believe it. Then I tried it and I thought I was writing, but I got video. And then and here's what I want everyone to know. It's not hackable.
Well, wait a minute. Maybe if you have multiple personalities, I mean,
maybe,
but that would be it.
The thing is, Pat, for, you know, the content personality quiz has been helping businesses for 8 or 10 years now. Like, it's not a new tool. It's kind of the thing that put me on the map many years ago in the world of marketing. But I didn't believe my own quiz. And this was before it was like in a quiz format and you had to print out the PDF and you marked it, right? Like very first, before we had like quiz software technology. And I would print it out and I keep saying, well, I'm a writer, because I am. I have a book, like a couple books out. Like, I'm a writer. I love writing and I'm great at writing, but my writing is not what converts. And that's the key. It's the energy of you that shows up best. So I know you probably love to write.
Yeah. And I love live events. I've been hosting networking events and managing networking groups for probably 15, 20 years. And like I said, I looked at that and I was like, video. But then when I thought about it, and one of your articles I had read, and it was talking about the little components. And when I thought about all these things that I enjoy doing, they all go into that. So, yeah.
Well, then I have $1 million question for you.
Okay.
Are you going to try more video?
I have been trying more video. A few weeks ago, right after we met, and I had said that I had found a platform that made it easy to do quick videos, because I'm really good at editing and doing fly-ins and all the fancy stuff. But when you need a video right now, not something that's a paid sales thing for a client, when you need something right now, you can't deal with that. You just have to like go on the fly. And I did find a platform that I like. It doesn't have green screen, so that's kind of but otherwise it has all the tools I need, and some I didn't know I needed. And I can bang out videos, a 2 to 4 minute video in like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm very happy. And I kind of like soft release them. I've been sending them out with our newsletters, but I've had enough positive feedback that I'm going to start posting them on social media. So,
oh my God, I am so, my content heart is exploding right now. My joyful marketing heart. And I just want to share with you our like, done and getting your message out there is the thing. Yeah. And I was sharing with Pat, like, we almost hit like $1 million brand last year. And I have never, ever, you can go back and look at them all, in 10 years, ever edited a video. Never. Can you believe that? Right?
No.
So what people like is they just like the real. They just like the real person showing up. Like, I mean, I kind of have video envy for people that know how to like make things fly in and all that. But I'm just like, no, let me just show up. But here's the thing, Pat, I'm a live in person content personality. So of course I'm going to show up live like this. And I'm just like, fine, put it out into the world. Like, I don't need to spruce it up. It is what it is. Right. And so that's the interesting thing about understanding your content personality, is you have a lot more freedom within that little structure to understand how to create better marketing that works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the guys in our networking group, he's an electrician, and he uses Instagram. He's insane on Instagram. He gets so much feedback and customer referrals from Instagram. And the thing he told me, and this is before I met you, the thing he told me was that customers like it when it's not edited. I mean, not like crazy ridiculous, the dog and the kids running through and you can't hear anything because the leaf blower next door is going, but basically not taking out all the ums and ahs, and it's okay if your hair's a little tousled, because it's authentic. Customers like the authentic. They feel like they're getting the real you, and it goes back to the know, like, and trust, that it's a whole lot easier to get to know and trust someone who looks like a regular person.
Absolutely. That an electrician is on Instagram just doing his thing. Like, that's fun.
Yeah. It's different. It's a brave new world.
Yeah. And what I want everyone to know and hear, this is really important. The message, those are the words that you use, has a blend of what I would call, what we teach, the psychology of your messaging to get people to take the next step. And I think this is like the science part, right, behind the marketing and the messaging that I really love. It's like, I can hear when somebody says something and I'm like, wait, if we just switch that around this way and then say to do this, it's going to change everything, right? And so, a lot of people, they want to try the next thing in marketing. And I'm not opposed to that as long as you're in your content personality. But the best marketing in the world is laid on a solid foundation of what you're messaging.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what your customers want. You know what the results are. You can speak to those, because that is when people will reach out and say, hey, I want that. Like, my electric is going nuts too in my house. Like, I have 4 outlets that don't work. Can you fix it? Right? Like, that's the thing. And so you have to make sure that you have messaging that is, we call it sticky, right? It's memorable. It sticks, so that when people are ready, they're like, oh, that's the only solution. I'm going to that person.
I think we all need that one. The question is, how do you find it? How do you find that? I mean, is that part of the it's not joyful marketing now, it is joy
fueled.
Joy fueled. Okay. Is that part of the joy fueled marketing? I mean, it's got to be, because you have to understand your message before you can really get behind it.
Absolutely. So we actually, this is an interesting thing that we're talking about, because for years I only had the joy fueled, like, program, if you will, of how to market your business and grow your business.
Right.
And then what we realized is, okay, this is great, but we've got to get people messaging support. So we opened another online program, which is just focusing on the messaging. It's called the Content Personality Club. And it's how to create messaging that is like laser focused and sticky within your content personality. So then you can roll it out into your marketing. So we kind of like stumbled into that on the backside. And Pat, what I think is really amazing about that whole story, when we think about our own ups and downs, I used to have a belief that I couldn't teach messaging.
Really?
Yes. Can you believe
that's crazy?
that?
No, that's crazy. I'm sorry. I refuse to believe that.
I know, it is crazy. And I was like, oh no, like, I was so scared, like, oh no. But you know what's crazy about that? I got my start after teaching in Spanish Harlem. All right. Not like the easiest place in the world to teach 8th graders. I got my start in that environment learning, I better speak the message of these kids or I'm not getting out of here alive. Right. And then I went into copywriting and sales. And then I ended up in marketing strategy. And so I don't know why all these years later, I had this belief that I couldn't help people with their messaging. But once I uncovered the belief, I healed the belief. And then I'm like, we're helping people with their messaging. It's real.
It is real. It is real. And it really kind of speaks to what everybody else deals with, because I think a lot of people have that. And then it seems like a lot of times the people that think they have the message are the ones that don't. I mean, one of my pet peeves, and you've probably noticed it probably more than me, when you go to an event and people do their 2-minute pitch and they say 5 sentences that have absolutely no meaning, and you have no clue what that person does. Not a clue. And we had that at Neil's event, that one person that was in that breakout room with us. It made so much sense when he said it there, but when we went to the big group, all he said was, I help businesses save money and maximize their revenue. and he was an insurance salesperson. And I'm like, how does this connect?
Yeah. Well, this is such an interesting conversation. I'm always like the open book, right? Mm. I broke my marketing. Like I literally freaking broke my own marketing. It happens, y'all. And you know why? I got away from the basic of I'm a marketing strategist and I help people with organic marketing that works. Yeah. Don't need to pay for ads. Let me help you with your messaging. Let me help you with your marketing. That's pretty simple, right? But somehow back in November, December, I went from messaging strategist to business growth strategist. Why? I have no idea. It was many conversations that I had with people. And they're like, oh my God, you've helped me grow my business so much. And I'm like, oh, I'm a business growth strategist. People could not connect the dots between business growth strategist and marketing strategist. And so I'm like, why has Q1 sucked so bad for me right now? Like, this is crazy. And then I realized last week, wow, I should just go back to what I've always done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, that's where we are. I mean, I think a lot of it is the pandemic. After the pandemic, we were all spinning our wheels trying to figure out, all right, what next? How do we get back to some semblance of reality and normal? And, oh, okay, this sounds good. This sounds like what we're doing. This sounds like where we are right now and where we should be heading. But at the end of the day, you really have to take a hard look at that. And like you said, is it authentic? Is this really who I am? Is this what people see when they look at me? And we did the same thing. I mean, we have done a 90-degree turn and it's back towards where we used to be. I mean, our strengths here at the Guild are connecting people, information, and resources. And virtual was fine, but it doesn't play to our strengths. Our strengths are Lisa and I out in meetings, in conversations with people, connecting people. And you can do it online, but it's much better in person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we both came home.
Yeah. But you know what we didn't cover? We didn't really cover how this works, how embracing the idea of joy-fueled marketing actually works in the real world. You talked about 4 steps. Yes. And we didn't really get very far down them before we sidetracked. So let's kind of circle back there.
So there are 4 steps to your joy-fueled marketing framework. Step 1, and I'm going to say these and then I'm going to actually do an example so people can understand, because that's key, right?
Yeah.
All right. Step 1, everyone, whether you're a brick and mortar, online, doesn't matter. Okay. You have to attract your people, your customers, your community. We call it step 1, aligned community attraction. This is the know. We've all heard a million times. Know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust, right? Know. How do they know you exist? This is your brand awareness. How do they know that you're there? This is huge. Nobody can do business with you if they don't know you're there. All right. So we attract a new client. We attract a new customer. Okay. I'm going to give an example in a moment. But step 2 is, all right, maybe they're not ready to buy right now. Not yet. But how do you build that community? How do you nurture it? How do you deepen the relationship? This is that like factor, right? And whether you're brick and mortar, online, or whatever, this is important in the customer journey. They've got to know you're there, and then they got to know you care.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, that people are going to do business with people who actually have a relationship with them, right? Then part 3 is the curate the community experience. All right. This is where you generate leads. All right. And I'll go through this in a moment, whether you're online or brick and mortar. And then that is where the sale happens. All right. So let's kind of go through this, like with a brick and mortar business, for example. Let's just, okay. The electrician. I'm just going to throw it out there. All right. The electrician is on Instagram. He's also probably in a community somewhere, but let's just say he's on Instagram and people know him. He's building that aligned community attraction. That's the know fact. They know that he exists. Okay. The biggest step that people do, whether they're brick and mortars or online businesses, is they don't move people from that knowing to deepening the relationship. And we know most businesses lost because they don't have a relationship with you. All right. This is the case for email marketing. I cannot stress this enough to everyone listening to this. I don't care if you're the mom and pop tea making shop, if you're the online, whatever. Email marketing is where the money is, because it's where you can deepen the relationships. You own the email, you own the relationship until somebody says, I'm empty now, I don't want to hear from you anymore. Okay, so you use your email to deepen that relationship. Maybe it's a tip on the reducing your electric bill. Who knows? Like, there's a million things you can do with that content, right? Then it's time for them to need an electrician, right? And they're like, oh, there was this guy that was on Instagram, and then like I got on his list, and then that tip. This is how it happens, right? The experience has curated so that they become a client. All right, that's a beautiful example, whether you have online or brick and mortar. All right, we've worked with hair salons, for example, a hairstylist in Canada. All right, hers looks like this. People now know she exists. She has a storefront, so she greets people. She's, you know, out talking to them wherever she's at, networking or whatever. They know she exists. She asked them, would they like her to stay in touch? And they say yes, give her the email. And this week she's doing a grand opening in Canada. And now she's got a beautiful list of people to invite in. And that's that experience that she's creating. And we had her have them bring friends, and we put a theme around it. This is marketing at its best, at its absolute best. Like, can you tell this stuff just jazzes me up?
Just a little bit, because I mean, at this point, we're taping this fairly late in the day, so we both had full days. At least I'm up at like 5:30, so I mean, we've had full days, and it's still high energy. And yeah, you don't get that by faking it.
No, you don't. But does that make sense to you, Pat, as you listen to like that journey?
Yeah, it does. And I think that's the part that gets lost along the way. I think people think like Instagram, Facebook, any of the online platforms, they look at them and they hear people say, well, you just need an account, you need to do a video, you need to post some memes, and bam, you'll get all kinds of business. And the part that people miss is that connection between follower and converting them into a lead, and then converting them into a customer. And that journey does not happen overnight. Yeah, you may get lucky sometimes, and someone sees you on there as like the right person, the right time, and they have the money. But most of the time, it is a journey. It's going to take a while to get from point A to point B. And maybe that person isn't even the one that becomes your customer, but because they know you and they see you all the time and you're in their inbox and they just think your tips are awesome, they recommend you to their friends or their boss or whoever.
Yeah. And that's how the referrals come, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For everyone. Like, we love referrals.
Oh yeah. Referrals are great.
Send them on, y'all. Keep them coming. So I think that's the thing. And like, I'm doing so much educating right now, and I always have been, but now more than ever, like, I just seem to be fired up. It's this email piece, because, you know, Twitter changes hands and Instagram decides they're going away. And then you've done all these things for what? If you don't have an email list, for what? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I remember when I was still doing web development and I had customers and I was doing social media marketing for them. And I kept telling them, no, we need to have this stuff on your website. We can post it. We can cross-post it to social media, but you don't own social media. If they change the algorithm, which they do all the time, if they change the rules, which they do all the time, you're going to lose your opportunity. You may even lose your content, and you may not be able to stay connected to your followers. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So y'all build that email list and figure out what you're going to say to them. And if you don't know, call me. I'll give you 50 ideas in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Right? Because that's how my brain works. Of what you can say. Like, nobody in my world, really, I say this with so much love, no one in my world should ever be at a loss for what to say. And if you are, I just need to sit down with you and do a little content mapping, and you'll be back on your way again. It'll be good.
Yeah. And I think when that happens, though, I think a lot of it's just because people, they get overwhelmed, and then they doubt the voice. They doubt their own message that they know. I mean, and like you said, they know it. They know it. But when you get this person saying you got to do this and that person saying you got to do that, and the third person saying, no, they don't know what they're talking about. You have to do this instead. It just goes, atomic.
Just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Which is the worst for our business if we just don't do anything.
Because nobody knows you're there. They're not going to hire you.
Absolutely.
So that's a wrap for this edition of the Success Funnel podcast. If you like Shannon's message, visit her website, joyfulbusinessrevolution.com. And don't forget to take the content personality quiz. It's an awesome, super simple quiz, and you will be either surprised or confirming the results that maybe you already know. She also has a ton of other information on the website, which is definitely worth reading. Have a great week, people.